Morning, everyone. So today I want to hit a little bit on a topic we've talked some about, but that we need to discuss a little bit more, which is about humbling yourself. And this is a very uncomfortable topic for most people because most people don't want to humble themselves, don't think about humbling themselves, and don't understand what it means to humble yourself. Sometimes we're humbled by situations we're in. Good morning, you guys. Sometimes we are in situations that we don't have a choice, but we are humbled because of the situation. But there are some scriptures that I want to share with you about what the more I study it. I've been studying this for about probably a year and a half, and then wrote that book that I recently released. But the more I study it, the more convinced I am that this is one of the most important characteristics that we can have. These are one of the most important things that we can pursue as far as who we become. So there's a scripture in Luke 14:11 that says, "For all of those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." And I'm not saying this from the perspective of, hi, BC, it's good to see you. It's not about, I don't focus on humbling myself to be exalted. And my pursuit of humility was not from the perspective of trying to be exalted. But the funny part is when you focus on humility and on being humble before God and before man, it's amazing how things go so well with you. Because think about it. When you're in a situation with someone, if they're humble and they're not aggressive or they're not, prideful or haughty or whatever towards you, and they're apologetic and they're willing to work with you and listen to you, I mean, how can you can't be defensive. It automatically brings your defenses down. There's a scripture in Matthew 21:44. It says, "Anyone who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces. Anyone on whom it falls will be crushed." And I like that scripture because it makes me think about anyone who falls on this stone. And I think about Jesus being the cornerstone or the capstone, and that we need to fall before Jesus and be broken to pieces. And I am all about laying myself bare before God. That does not mean you need to lay yourself bare before man. You need to be careful about who you get into relationship with, who you trust with your deepest, darkest secrets. You may need to go to a professional to talk about it if you don't have anyone in your life that you feel comfortable enough bearing your soul to. But you definitely need to bury your soul before God. You definitely need to lay all your sin out there before God and talk with Him about it. Talk with Him about what you're learning about yourself, what you see about yourself, what He has exposed in you. Because the more open and honest and vulnerable you are before God about who you are, the more you can pray about Him changing you and helping you become what you want to be and what He's called you to be. Exactly. Humble yourself or God will humble you. That's exactly right. He actually says that in Isaiah 66:2. He says, "This is the one I esteem, he who is humble and contrite in spirit and trembles at my word." And it's in Isaiah 57:15, he says, "For this is what the high and lofty one says. He who lives forever, whose name is holy. I live in a high and holy place." Obviously, God is in heaven. He is everywhere. He says, but he also lives with him who is contrite and lowly in spirit, to revive the spirit of the lowly and to revive the heart of the contrite. So God is with people when they humble themselves. When we lay ourselves bare before Him and say, "Okay, God, I'm a mess. I need you. I'm desperate. I recognize that you are God. You are creator. You give life. Eternity is in your hand. Existence is because of you. Everything is from you. Everything is about you. Everything is for you." When you acknowledge that and recognize who He is and come before Him. I mean, I look out at, I was praying this morning and taking a walk outside, and the stars were out, and I'm looking at the stars. How can we not humble ourselves before Him and realize how small and insignificant we are in this vast world? How can we be all caught up in ourselves and all prideful about who we are when you can look out the window and see how big a tree is and think, well, if that tree fell on me, it would crush me. How can we be so full of ourselves? It's crazy to me. But when you think about humbling yourselves and you think about really getting into the position that we're meant to be in, because ultimately we're meant to be humble before God. We're meant to acknowledge that God is bigger than us. His trees are bigger than us. The earth is bigger than us. The sky is bigger than us. The universe is bigger than us. Everything he's created is bigger than us. So he deserves us to be humble before him on the one hand. And on the other hand, the other reason is that he loves us so much. When you're humble before him and you say, listen, Father, I admit and I acknowledge that you are greater than everything in this life and that I desperately need you and want you in my life, and I want to humble myself before you and acknowledge who I am in my nature and that I want to change. I want to stop worrying. I want to stop being anxious. I want to stop lusting. I want to stop being impure. I want to stop lying. I want to, hi Janet. I want to stop doing things that dishonor you or don't please you. I want to be someone that brings you honor and glory and praise. I want to be a living example for you. When you come to him and humble yourself and say that to him, he is like a big daddy. He's a perfect father. Of course, he's going to scoop you up in his arms and hold you tight as you cry about what you're really like and how much you need him. And that's where I love that scripture that talks about how he is with those that are contrite and lowly in spirit. He revives our spirit. He revives the heart of the contrite. God just wants us to be humble. He wants us to quit thinking we're all of that. He wants us to quit thinking that we're God. He wants us to quit acting like we're in control of everything and just admit the truth. Because the truth is, I can't make a tree grow. The truth is, I didn't place the stars in the sky. The truth is, I can't do anything except the little tiny bit that he's allowed me the ability to do. So who am I? Who am I before him? And that doesn't mean to get, a victim mentality or down on myself about the fact of how small I am in comparison to him. The point of it is to humble myself before him in recognition of who he is and be grateful that he loves me and be grateful that he's willing to work in my life. He's willing to be my father. He was willing to send his son to die in my place so that I could have a relationship with him. He's willing to send his spirit to live within me, to help me and guide me and be my counselor and help me to learn how to obey him. How amazing is that? How amazing is that to have a father, to have a God, to have someone who is in control of everything, be willing to be in our life and help us and guide us and teach us and love us. How incredible is that? So this is just a little thought about what it means to be humble and about us humbling ourselves and what that looks like on a daily basis. And really, it's just about you in your quiet time, in the morning, alone with God, and you really reconciling with him and before him who you are. This isn't about you having to get up in front of anybody and tell all about yourself. This is really between you and God. And I want to encourage you about, he's just waiting for you. He's waiting for you to come and talk with him. He's waiting for you to share with him. He's waiting for you to humble yourself before him so that he can bless you and be a blessing in your life. And that he is your perfect father, and he deserves you to humble yourself before him so that you can have the relationship with him that he desires, and hopefully that you do too. So I hope this encourages you. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.